Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. The show's going to make me get it on. And welcome to the show. I'm Adam Carolla. That's Gina Grad over there.
Hi.
And Bald Bryan.
Yo, stop slapping bitches.
Well, good news. John Force is going to be in here with his daughter. They're both. John Force is probably the most prolific record-holding funny car. It says drag racer on here, but he doesn't race a dragster. He races a funny car.
For those of us in the know.
Yeah, maybe he'd gotten some holds many all-time records. He's got this huge palace with all the memorabilia and everything in it, and Yorba Linda up on a hill next to Mike August's house. So we'll talk to him, and then his daughter came in. And by the way, I was thinking about it. You know, we beef, and his daughter's a champion as well, Brittany Force, and then his daughter is married to Graham Rahal, who's Bobby Rahal. Bobby Rahal, of course, drove her Letterman's team, and there's lots of footage of Bobby Rahal, like, you know, winning Indy and stuff like that, and Letterman is there. Bobby Rahal also drove my Porsche 935 for a season or two when it was the Apple car and won Daytona. So he has this legendary dad with the son.
Dynasty.
Who, Graham, who runs Indy now, and then the daughter of John Force, the greatest quarter mile guy versus the road course
Don't tell Vin
Indy
that.
guys, and then they got together, and I hope they have offspring. I haven't checked.
This may surprise you, but I actually know who John Force is and kind of know a little bit about him, because you like to marvel occasionally, and probably more and more as life goes on, how my extended family is full of like real men and people who did things, and not just, people who do movie reviews on podcasts. And I spent a summer with my Canadian relatives. They're the ones who I told you do the logging sports, the crazy, climb the pole and do the logs, and the real deal. They build log houses for a living. And he also, in his spare time, this is my Canadian relatives, do hot rodding, NHRA. And their bathroom reader was like the wit and wisdom of John Force. And it was like, John Force is like Forceisms, right? Like, he's I wouldn't call him the clown prince of hot rod racing, but he's a personality.
Strong personality and a winner, and all the discussion of, and then I'll circle back to the great Heart Like a Wheel, Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney, first female champion.
She logging sports?
Well, I was saying, in a world where everyone is like, oh, you're transphobic because you don't want the guy to swim with the girls. No, we don't want someone who has an advantage over the girls swimming with the girls. But the quarter mile, which actually has now been shortened to 1,000 feet because quarter mile is too dangerous, I don't think anyone would have a beef if somebody transitioned and wanted to get one of those funny cars one direction or the other, because there's no inherent advantage to being a woman or a female, or a male or female.
Well, you can weigh the car, right?
Well, that's true.
No, and not in the drag racing and funny car world. Because in the drag racing and funny car world, and we talked about, in go-karts, I was over at the other shop the other day. Sean, who's over there, was explaining that his 11-year-old son would kick my ass on the go-karting track. And I said, I'm sure he would, because he's 114 pounds, and I'd be giving away 85 pounds to that kid. So, yes, when there's low horsepower, like in go-karts, and then in F1, when you're dealing with just thousandths of a second one way or another, if guys carrying around an extra 20 pounds, it's going to make a difference. Drag racing, the cars have 8,000 horsepower or something. They have more horsepower than they really know what to do with.
So you would notice.
The big key is getting the power to the rear wheels and not just sitting there and spinning and burning out and lighting them up. So a dude who weighed 65, 70 pounds more than a woman, there's no weight advantage in that car, because, we'll ask them when they come in. I'm sure you'd rather be light than heavy, but John is a full-figured guy.
One would.
And hasn't seemed to slow him down because there's more horsepower than you know what to do with. Anyway, so we'll talk to John and Brittany as well.
More about logging sports.
Listen, in the pantheon of I have no understanding of, but respect and appreciate the shit out of it. Logging sports.
Yeah. I was actually decent at axe throwing for a fucking 16-year-old, 17, whatever I was. It was fun.
Well, now you can go to any pub or
that's
hipster
right, they have
bar
those
and do
now.
it there. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, drunk guy, here's an axe.
Exactly.
Yeah, the craziest one is when they do the axe swinging from the plank that they notch in, and then they jump up on the plank and they get about 5 foot off the ground and they start swinging that axe. Yeah.
It's hot.
The whole thing is crazy. The scampering up the pole, the free fall down the pole.
Yep,
Log rolling, I would have been good at. I could have done.
The up the pole is crazy. You got the strap, right? The hooks or whatever, and you flip
throw
it up.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you're up, then brrr, all the way down.
And of course, it's adjunct, but may weave in the dog drink jump, the dog leap into the lake.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a sideshow.
The one that just goes off the end of the pier and
Yeah.
the dog just goes full Superman.
Yeah, that's at halftime.
I'd watch the shit out of that as well. All right. So we have, let's see, in the pantheon of unbelievable commercials or advertisements. Now, we were talking last week about the San Francisco billboards and the New York subway, and it was like, if you're going to inject, don't inject, smoke your heroin or snort it,
Yeah.
or if you're going to inject, have a couple friends come around, they'll give you the Narcan when you flatline and they can
Right.
wake you up, and we're like, these are advertisements.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Suggestions.
We've crossed a certain line in society, and it seemed like 10 minutes ago, we're all marveling at the mixed couples in the Subaru commercial, or the one with the transgendered kid, or the gay couple, or whatever. Oh, we're now way down the road. And I told Amy to look it up. I heard about it today. I haven't seen it. And I don't think this was run on TV, but it must have been online. Was Postmates? Yeah.
I was just sending this to Emmy and Ben.
Oh, good. So you
I
saw
have
this.
lots of thoughts about this. A lot of my gay friends have weighed in.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's what we need. So, Brian, you've not heard of this or
Oh,
seen this.
buckle up.
Oh, buckle up. All right, pause it for a
This
second.
feels like a very specific
It is.
demographic.
Brian, you seem very confused. Are you understanding so far what they're getting at?
I understand the notion of a top and a bottom. I didn't realize that bottoms were limited in their menu.
They are.
Is that-
because,
No.
Okay.
I'm very ignorant.
So let me
Is this
coach
a
you.
Dom
You got to put
something?
bliss
No.
in front of ignorant. It's got to be blissful.
I don't know that I want to know. I
gonna
want
tell
my
you.
life to be before
Too
knowing
late.
and after knowing.
Okay,
late.
so this is a PSA for anyone who's not on the up and up with the gay men's sex scene.
So, if you're top, you can have tacos,
Right. Because
as
you're not-
illustrated here.
because you're not being penetrated. Like a lot of times you'll need, if you're going to be a bottom, there's an enema, a pre-sex enema to kind of clear you out. And so you can't just eat whatever you want as a bottom. You have to have a bowl of ice cubes and water, according to this.
Well, in Peaches wearing diapers.
A peach, and that's a jockstrap,
Oh, it's a jockstrap.
obviously.
Sorry.
And those are like rainbow nipple clamps on the apricot.
Uh-huh. And they had
Is it?
next to the taco.
Oh, and there's a piercing on the other side.
Yeah.
Sorry,
The nectarine.
I'm navigating this like a child. Is this to suggest that bottoms, certain foods cause incontinence?
No.
Oh,
It could be like some sort of like diarrhea
they'll-
situation.
they'll-
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
oh, I
they'll-
thought
they'll-
incontinence was just bladder.
They'll-
no.
they'll
Like
explain.
it holds it in.
It's laid out.
Let Postmates explain it to you,
It's-
this delicious commercial.
It's laid. Now, the first one had I don't know what it was, dressed up in sort of hard,
Like a leather
gay
daddy.
leather. Yeah, leather daddy, as we talked about with the Village People. But that was
That's from Mad Max.
yeah, I don't know what that is, but
Oh, what the vegetable is?
it's a large vegetable.
Maybe a summer squash.
It's not reading. All right, go ahead, continue. Sorry, I want to talk to Dr. Evan Goldstein's mom, like his Jewish parents. Hey, goodness. I know. Remember how you scrimped and saved for med school?
He's going to
and
be mentioned in the national
he'll be the
advertising.
first doctor in this family.
Oh, my little love. I'm so happy.
I knew
I'm
he'd amount to
growling.
something.
I have such nachas.
He's teamed up with Postmates.
Oh, my
the-
little boy chick.
We use Postmates.
I
Remember
can't
we
wait.
got the pizza?
I'm going to call Helen right now and tell everybody to watch this commercial.
Yeah,
What is it, a commercial
no.
about being a scientist?
I want to hear. Put it on speakerphone.
All right, now Martha, slow your roll.
Oh, I just can't. I'm so excited. I
don't-
got to tell the whole
I'm going to
Haverod
ask you to
synagogue.
just put your phone down right now. I just don't want you texting or
Oh.
tweeting.
Oh, I can do neither on the jitterbug, but okay.
He's hooked up with Postmates. Evidently, your son is a pretty well-regarded expert in bottoms.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He used to, all the to-go containers, he would check the bottom of the container to make sure there was no carcinogens.
No.
We were so proud.
You know how some fellas like each other more than they like the ladies?
Well, sure. Marv likes Irving more than he likes Henry. That's why he carpools to golf
Right.
with him.
And sometimes the way they express themselves physically, more than just, hugging and stuff.
Irving's got the funny T-shirts,
Yeah, they always high five when
Star
they see that.
Wars
It's very
and all
funny.
that.
Gives them a kiss on the cheek even sometimes.
Well, your son has gleaned. So in a relation, you know how you have a vagina?
Not that that's
Bob.
any of your business.
Easy.
Oh, I'm sorry, but you have a penis. I mean,
Oh,
it's
boy.
Okay,
it's
we're
biblical.
going to need to hang up.
Yeah, but you see, when you're a gay couple.
We're a gay couple. We couldn't be gayer.
That's right.
Happy and
No,
gay.
I'm
Bit of a
sorry.
non sequitur, but okay.
Sorry, I meant homosexual
What now?
couple, where the fellas like the fellas,
Oh, like Robin Dana's kid.
Oh,
the
down
weird
this-
one
oh,
with the blue
weird
hair.
One. That's right. Yeah, with the
like,
piercings.
yeah, like, well,
God, can I hold on? Toot, toot, toot.
you have a problem with him?
Huh?
Okay, well, it's going to get worse. Then, when there's a fella, and then he lives with and sometimes marries another fella, and they want to have like a intercourse, like a sexual relationship.
I love sitting in the car.
And
I
then
want to go get it.
But then-
Merv, you stay right here. If
Well,
I have
then-
to listen, so do you.
there's problem is there's so then there's
You're talking about two?
fellas.
Okay.
And then they both have a penis,
Well,
but there is no, place to
yeah, how
put-
could they
where would they put the
Thank
penis?
you.
Right. Conversation
Conversation over. There's nowhere to put the penis.
they didn't,
Back to our son, the doctor.
They didn't stop there. Usually, a lot of times, the way, like you guys, you're a couple. You've been together for a long time.
47
Feels like-
wonderful years.
Feels like forever. I'll tell you.
And I know you both like musicals, right?
Of course. Starting here, starting
She
now.
drags me, but I have a good time.
Everything's coming
Right.
up roses.
Right, all right. But this is not that.
Oh.
This is one you would have to like the one part, and then
I'm sorry, I'm not following all this, Michigan.
So somebody has to put the penis somewhere, but then somebody has to accept the penis.
And a
You know?
Like FedEx.
Oh well, yeah. Oftentimes the cast, but and
In
so
a musical?
I'm just gonna go ahead and steam ahead
talking
here.
about Oh Calcutta.
And this is so that person we called the top, like your husband would get on top of
I think
you.
Marv is the top.
And-
He's the Coliseum.
How would he do surgery from underneath?
And then and then the bottom. Well, let's just run this commercial from the beginning, from the
that's a
top.
visual.
Okay,
I
this
brought
will make it
a
easier.
visual for you guys.
Okay.
It's going to kind of lay it out.
Very good.
If you're a bottom and you're having trouble keeping it all in, wouldn't it behoove you to eat constipating foods? Or am I being incredibly ignorant?
Think about the old Heinz ketchup commercial. You tap it a little bit and all the ketchup comes out.
Oh, one little.
One little poke in the wrong direction.
I think it's best just to have, I would treat it like, before surgery where they go, no.
Right.
And but the point is Postmates has come up with a bottom-friendly menu. I would also argue that if you're a veteran bottom like me,
You got it figured out?
this is
You've
something.
been down the road.
I've been on the internet once or twice and perused the shopping list.
You've been
Okay.
down that Hershey highway. Gina.
Would you like to know what some of the gay men in the community are saying about
Please,
this? At least in
please.
my community.
Oh, yeah.
So, a little carrot, a little stick.
Uh-huh.
At first, they were like, wow, this is this is impressive that not only are they paying attention to pride, but they are really paying
they're
attention.
directly addressing a specific
As opposed
issue.
to, slapping a rainbow sticker on a McDonald's menu and going, look, we participated. This is like, they're pot committed.
Yes.
Here's the problem. Now, this is not something either of you would have known. It's not something I would have known. In the gay community,
I knew that.
when it comes to bottoms, there can be a lot of eating disorders because of this. And they think it promotes eating disorders as a bottom.
Trying to address the dietary.
Yeah, like this is all you're allowed to eat as a bottom. And it's going to cause them to have more disordered eating.
Yeah, because it's a constant thing.
Yeah.
So if you're having a relationship and it's sexually fruitful, you never know
Can't have fruit.
when the time is right, like the Cialis commercial.
Right.
And so you can't just have a big hoagie for lunch.
It's the last thing you should be having.
And then that's now you're into dietary restrictions.
Right. Constantly thinking about it.
And now it's your job to kind of think about it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the tops are just ballooning up, carb loading.
Need a cut, man.
Doing whatever eating whatever they please. So this is great. Much like they say, like with modeling or something like that. These women are having eating disorders because there's a constant
wet
pressure.
cotton balls.
Yes.
So that's exactly, you got it exactly right. So it's like on one hand, like, wow, way to really do your research, Dr. Goldstein, and like really talk to us. On the other hand, it's a little dangerous to tell bottoms they're really never allowed to eat much.
Well,
and that's where we are, everybody.
in the pantheon of advertisements.
Wow.
It's awesome. I would love Christy's thoughts on that.
Yeah, seriously.
So shifting gears, I went.
It's all about racing with you.
It's all about it, and with the Force family coming in, I can't wait. But
Great last name, by the way.
It is definitely tops all the way around
Tops.
with
He's a
the
top?
Force family.
Hey, I'm sorry to divert the subject real quick, but Gina, I don't expect you to speak for the whole community, but is there some fluidity with tops and bottoms, or are you committed? You pick a lane early in life?
That's a good question. I only know one person that can.
Randy Wang.
That's
He's our
ambidextrous.
go-to. Yes.
But in general, I don't really know anyone that
Not a lot of utility players
switch
in the
hits.
league?
Yeah. Not that I know. That
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I
You
feel.
commit.
I feel like I don't know.
Craig Biggio played catcher and second base.
That's
Because you
what
can-
I was going to say.
But did he enjoy catcher as much as he enjoyed second base?
No, he's a Hall of Famer. You have to ask him.
I got to
He
say.
has 3,000 hits.
I also know, by the way, my information is based on having a gay friend at the Acme Comedy Theater and getting everything I know from him.
So your gay information stopped 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's basically.
1992.
I think there's a lot of gay couples that just do oral. I think it's just because you think about it.
Huh.
Anal is that's a commitment. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it also means the bottom has to constantly be on the restricted diet.
The
There's
diet,
all kinds of enemas and things to work out.
Pandering advertisements
It's like
popping up.
it's like having a special needs child. You know what I mean? You couldn't just get up and go to the market and tell them to watch TV.
Sure.
You could set the fucking apartment on
Right.
fire.
You have to
It's a
arrange
constant special van
Thank
for
you.
the bottom. You know, with the lift. It's a lot. It's a calorie burner.
Right.
And I'm saying at some point relationships get a little lazy, and I feel like my gay relationship would just drift into some oral world.
Well, I can imagine.
And also, you're always on an equal footing.
Yeah, but
know
I,
what I mean?
I can imagine in fact, I know for a fact, not mine, because I'm a newlywed, but there are people out there in straight relationships that only do oral because
Yeah.
like she's not into it anymore. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. All right.
So I think,
do
I mean,
that
to your
gay
point, I think
relationship.
that's a thing.
I have much more to get into, but just a sidebar.
No, only this for the next hour.
We had
See what John Force thinks.
I had Stromer in here, and we're doing our home improvement show, and Stromer regaled me with a story that I forgot about, which is, well, we ended up talking to a school teacher who was retired, 65-year-old woman, and I forgot that when I was in Napa touring around and drinking wine and eating cheese, one of a group,
Like a good bottom.
yes, a
Terrible idea,
obedient
actually.
bottom. One of the groups I was sort of walking around with was a delightful group out of oh God, let's say Chicago area. It was 2 daughters and a mom. And the mom was celebrating her 63rd birthday or something, and the daughters took her out, blah,
Nice.
blah, blah. And the mom seemed fit and spry and enjoying herself and youngish. And so I asked her, what do you do? And she said, oh, I'm retired. And I said, oh, really? Seems so young. And she said, well, I was a school teacher. And I said, when did you retire? And she said, oh, it's been 10, 13 years by now or something. And I said, well, how does that work? And we forget. She said, well, I started teaching when I was 22, and 30 years in, I hit retirement.
You get a
and
pension.
I was 52, and I took my full benefits, and I went home.
Didn't we all have old teachers?
Very,
Yes.
very
Although,
old
when
teachers.
you were 9,
That's true.
49,
Yeah.
but also they smelled of mothballs.
They
They
did.
wore cardigan sweaters.
Yeah,
They had their hair up like
glasses.
Aunt
a
B.
lot of denim vests with patches.
Mrs. Wolk, when I had Mrs. Wolk, she was probably 34, but looked like Aunt B.
Yes.
I mean, they were
Yeah,
they're
that's a good point.
housefraus.
Matronly.
The matronly. So they looked the part. But yeah, I did. I had Mr. Spaeth. Mr. Spaeth was 78 years old. Like, I guess some forego the retirement.
Right.
Some actually enjoy their
That is
job,
their retirement.
and they enjoy molding youth. And Mr. Spaeth evidently did that, although he never molded us because we just cut his class. But she said, yeah, I did 30 years and I retired. And I was like, well, what are you doing now? And she's like, this. My
who wouldn't?
My husband, we were in Italy for 5 weeks.
What a life.
My husband's retired too. And I thought, now look, you don't get rich off the school teacher's pension, but what you do get is you don't have to work for the rest of your life in possibly your early 50s, mid 50s. We got to bump that shit up.
Yeah.
Number one.
Did you tell that to her?
Go back.
Well, she's
Full of
literally
wine and
just
vinegar?
traveling the world, tasting
great.
wines and vineyards all over the world. And it's great, except for we do pay for it. And I don't know anybody else who has that option who just is in the private sector. Everyone, all those, and it'll work occasionally in the private sector, like if you work for some big defense contractor and you put in your 30 years or your 35 years or something, you'll have that as well. But now that people are so young for so long, shouldn't we start trying to negotiate that number a little bit? It used to be you retired at 65, you died at 66. That's the way we liked it.
We all accepted it.
But now you go fresh out of college, go right into teaching, hang out, and by the time you're 53, 54, you're in the south of France,
Prime
man.
And I think with the new legislation, you go right into teaching, and you might have most of that debt wiped out too.
That's right. Depending on the community you go to teach.
Yeah.
So also then she was explaining, like, back in the day how they used to be able to kind of discipline people, shame them a little
corporal.
bit.
The dunce cap.
She said, Stromer gave me a story I forgot about, but she said her hall pass for the bathroom was an entire toilet seat. And what that would do is it would discourage kids
From just taking off.
every 10 minutes going, I got to use the bathroom. All right,
Nice.
here's your full-size toilet seat. Have fun
It's like you're
negotiating
running
the
a gas
hallway.
station.
Yeah, so things like that were effective,
That's
but
good.
would be a no-fly zone. That teacher would definitely be disciplined
Yeah.
at this point. But the toilet seat hall pass
That's
was
good.
definitely one. But Stromer was telling me about that. Stromer is a little ADD. He's has trouble. Might have some impulse issues. You know what I mean?
Like not choking.
Just he'll blurt out a song or blurt something out, or he's loquacious and friendly,
That
and
is a hallmark of ADHD.
does not work well in the classroom in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
Same.
And his teacher, Mr. Williams, I wrote it down, would take a refrigerator box and set it over him in his desk. Literally, one too many outbursts, and you just get the box.
That's fucking awesome.
I said, it's a true story, because I said, he just had a full-size refrigerator. He said, no, it didn't have a top or a bottom.
Oh, yeah, you don't wanna kill
and
the
he would
kid.
just fold it. It would just fold into
Right.
itself and lean against the wall. And then
As a constant threat.
as
Yeah.
Stromer acted out, he would get the box out. He set it simply over his desk,
That's
and he would have to
awesome.
write out I said, how long in the box? He said, to whenever the class ended. He was in the box.
38 minutes.
And then I started saying, what'd you do in the box? He said, well, I made a little hole at some point. I could see some of what was going on in the outside world.
That's awesome.
It's like Ace Ventura and the Rhino.
Yeah. Little Stromer was here, like bathroom writing.
Then he started fantasizing and creating a whole world inside of the box because he's just got his number 2 pencil and he's staring at the inside of some cardboard. He's got some light peeking in through the top.
That's a palette, baby.
That's amazing.
He's a creative guy.
Yeah.
So he created a magical kingdom inside of his box.
That's so great.
Can you imagine? Now, obviously, if you were the parents of the kid who got the box in 1974, you'd be like, well, shut up and you won't get the box.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Now it'd be like, we're suing the school board, we're suing the teachers, there's a hate crime and blah, blah, blah. But
that's such a great idea. You're not hurting them. They can't, it's not like they can't breathe.
This would be an interesting
And in the event of a school shooting, who knows? Maybe they just walk right past you.
Speaking of school shootings, this would be a good deterrent. You put that, or you got a trouble kid, right? You're like, this kid, he likes to torture animals. He's up to no good. I feel dangerous about this kid. Put the box around him. See what he draws.
Yeah,
that's
inspect
good.
The inside of the box.
And in an event of a school shooting, I'm not saying
there's a target and a likeness of you. Run.
I don't think the box would prevent any bullets from passing through it.
Oh, no, that's not what we're saying.
I'm saying
they'll walk right past you.
The horrible student who was bullied horribly would probably find a Confederate inside of that box. We're on the same team.
Another victim like me of
like
the
a
system.
message, yeah.
Yeah, like I got to go shoot the jocks at you.
Yeah.
Right.
I had the box back in the day. I remember it well. Those are my writings.
Yeah.
So then it made me think of my favorite
Where are we going with this?
after school. My favorite Sunday night movie was Scott Jacoby, Bad Ronald.
Oh, yeah.
Under the
Bad
staircase,
Ronald was trapped under the staircase, and he started creating a whole fantasy about princesses and a faraway land because he was in his own box, much like Stromer.
Who did Stromer kill? Unclear?
He killed whatever the lesson plan was
That's
that
right.
day, but I'll play you 1 minute where the Bad Ronald, and
good.
you can see. Yeah, he's in there, and he's explaining that he created a princess and a faraway land.
Yeah.
And it just made me think of Stromer trapped in that box.
Just reminded me of something in my older brother's class in high school. We went to a Catholic high school, and we were taught by a bunch of Christian brothers. And one of the brothers was Brother Cecil. And Brother Cecil was like the guy who sang Good Golly Miss Molly.
Little Richard?
Little Richard.
Yeah.
Exactly like Little Richard. And what he would do if you were disrupting his class, he had a section of the class called Hell. And he would tell you to go to hell.
Oh, right.
And so my brother spent quite a bit of time in hell.
Brother
Well,
Cecil.
Yeah, first off, makes me nostalgic about the Corral, the donkey squad,
right.
where I spent quite a bit of my youth. All the greats, evidently, except for Dawson's brother, ended up in some portion that was
Confinement.
carved out.
Yep.
All right, I got many other thoughts. I went to a concert. I went to another concert. First, I'll tell you about J.B. Weld, world's strongest bond, the brand DIYers and pros have trusted for over 50 years. We use their epoxies, their super glues, their putty sticks, big and small projects, any surface just about, metal, wood, plastics, glass, ceramics. Keep it in your kitchen drawer, your toolbox, your craft supplies, and of course in your garage. Let's not be ugly Americans. When something breaks, fix it with J.B. Weld. Don't throw it in the landfill. Also, they're the proud owner of Herculiner, the original DIY truck bed liner. So if you're looking for the world's strongest truck bed liner, Herculiner, well, they've got you covered. And you can get J.B. Weld just about anywhere, and I suggest you have some on hand when something breaks. Available at jbweld.com, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, AutoZone, Advance Auto Parts, O'Reilly, Amazon, Michaels, and more. And it's proudly made in the USA. It is J.B. Weld. All right, quick break. I'll tell you about my concert weekend right after this.
And now, a totally innocuous word that sounds dirty when Mike Dawson says it.
Discharge.
Ew. Let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
All right. So I went to the Greek Theater
Oh, beautiful.
to see the Barenaked Ladies, who a very enjoyable band to see in person, a good band. Anyway, good live band, and finally figured out which one was Harlan Williams' cousin.
He was there.
He's a Barenaked Lady.
An actual Barenaked Lady.
An actual Barenaked Lady.
Wow.
So very fun band, very good. Now, I don't know if you guys do this to yourself. Maybe this is just me, but I like to come up with a song that they may play, but probably won't, so I can be a little bit disappointed.
Always.
Always. And Barenaked Ladies have been around for 30 years, and they've had many hits, and they're going to have to play those many hits. But I got on to the Barenaked Ladies in 1993, 1994.
Were they K-Rocky?
There was a station, and one of these days, maybe Dawson can figure it out, or Emmy or whatever. I've tried to figure it out before. There was a very brief period of time in about 1992, but maybe the station came around in 91, where there was an alternative station. It was not K-Rock. K-Rock was, at that point, they're playing like Flock of Seagulls and stuff like that, and they're good. But then there was this other one in Los Angeles, and they started playing Sheryl Crow. Now, this is like early 90s, very early 90s. They started playing Blues Traveler. They started playing Barenaked Ladies. And I was like, oh, what is all this stuff? Because, Blues Traveler, before you'd heard Blues Traveler, it was revelatory when you heard it in like 1992. And Sheryl Crow was that way, and Barenaked Ladies. And I used to listen to that radio station. They would play the Jayhawks, and they would play, and
I'll buy you some time because there was a station when I came here in 96 in the later 90s called Y107. I'm assuming this is different because they were a big competitor to K-Rock for a short period, 1 or 2 years.
I think this was earlier than that.
The only reason I'm asking is Sheryl Crow broke through in about 95-ish.
Well, maybe it was Y107 because I thought this was earlier than that, like 92, 93. But now we got to figure out when she broke through and when Blues Traveler broke through, and then Victoria Williams, who was really good as well. And I was listening to all this, I was going, oh, this stuff's great. And so my first Barenaked Lady song I heard, Dawson has it.
Did they play it and dedicate it to you?
No. They missed this one. So I have to do what I do. I pick a fringy, but it's got to be, I've heard it. It's got to be played on the radio. Okay. It's got to be a chance of it. And then always then when I meet the band backstage after the show, they always go, oh, yeah, we used to play that one all the time. We played that one on the whole Canadian tour.
I was just playing the last day, last tour.
Yes, but still a great show. Then there was this. I was in Malibu, and I was like, all right, Barenaked Ladies. Let's check the schedule. Okay, they hit the stage at 9 p.m. Okay, well, from Malibu to the Greek theaters, that's a schlep.
It's a haul.
But, traffic won't be too bad. Maybe take an hour. Leave a little before 8. Then it's who's the opening band? I don't know. Snotty Scotty and the Hankies. I'll pass. We'll just see the Barenaked Ladies. No, the Gin Blossoms are going to open for them.
Fucking hey, man.
So I'm like, oh. All right. Well,
now we got to back up an extra 45.
Now I got to see the Gin Blossoms now. So I'm like, and there's another band. And I'm like, okay, but the other band.
Some local you never heard of.
Right. Somebody, family member, maybe of the Barenaked Ladies. Going to do an acoustic set. Hard pass. Toad the Wet Sprocket. One of my favorites.
I've seen twice in concert.
I fucking love Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Me too.
They're hitting the stage at 7 sharp.
Now you got to show up when the sun's still out.
Oh my God. Fucking hour and 40 minutes later.
You got to wear your Tivas to this show. You got to go full 90s.
Oh my God. So
that's awesome.
It was quite the lineup.
All I want is to feel this way.
Oh, Toad the Wet Sprocket has a ton of hits.
Walk on the ocean.
You'll know 5 of them for sure, and they're really good band. And so I was like, oh man, okay. So Then, so that was enough driving for a Friday night. But then Saturday, Mike had arranged a corporate gig for me from Malibu once again to the city of Chino.
Holy crap.
To the Chino Air Museum.
Where is Chino?
Really
It's
far east.
another hour and 40 minutes out.
Ontario-ish.
Oh,
Yes.
northeast-ish.
Yes. So then there was that pilgrimage where I was in the backstage area. It was a guy throwing himself a 60th birthday. He's going to have me,
It's cool.
a Rod Stewart cover band.
Oh.
That took a turn halfway through.
You really slowed down.
Yeah. And
Rod Stewart.
and a David Bowie cover band. But they're all going on after me. And so then I'm waiting in the green room area with the guys clearly dressed as Rod Stewart. So I want to get the set list.
Is this the plot of Road Hard 2? Are you opening for two cover bands?
That's right. So I said,
Chino.
look, I got some Rod Stewart songs I love, and I got some ones I hate. So let's go over the set list. So I just got robbed of an alternative girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he said, all right, what do you like? I like, first cut is the deepest.
Oh, it's great.
He's like, yeah, we don't do that one.
Okay.
I said, how about Handbags and Glad Rags, which is a beautiful
buddy.
song.
You're digging away
He's
for
like,
cover bands.
no. I said, Downtown Train. He's like, we used to do that one. We don't do that one anymore.
Why did they
Tepid
retire it?
response.
That's right. But we do Passion and Hot Legs 4 times. So
Yeah.
They do If You Want My Body, Anything I'm Sexy.
yes. It's all the worst of Rod. All the worst of Rod. But they have to do those songs. And so I said, all right, well, let's see.
Yeah, if you're the cover band, you are beholden to the hit, like the big,
Yes,
broad
yeah.
hits, because if you're the band, you break out like, one for the fans and
Right.
they love it.
So now I'm like, all right, it's an hour and 40 minutes back to Malibu. Okay, so I'm going to go on stage at 8. I'm going to do a half hour. And Mike's like, there's a meet and greet.
Oh, God. At
meet-
midnight?
The meet and greet is between you and the Rod Stewart band. So you're going to do your set. We're going to be meet and greet. Then you can leave. Rod's going to hit the stage. So I finish my set, and as I'm walking off the stage, Rod is just walking on stage.
Oh, no.
He's supposed to do a half hour. He does an hour and 10 minutes.
Wow.
He goes every
Earning
song
it.
that's... Yes, he's getting into Faces songs of Rod Stewart. He's going deep.
He's doing the standards covers from later in his career.
He's doing it all. And now
Just the way you look.
I'm sitting back there, and they're like, well, the meet and greet's now after Rod, so you can't go anywhere until Rod is finished. But I
Rod
got
did you dirty.
got a 90-minute drive back to Malibu after that. But they fed me, and it was at a museum, a warplane museum. So it's,
you
Dude,
walk
you would have been there
around?
anyway.
well, I waited around for like an hour, and then at some point they went, you want to tour the museum? I was like, fuck yeah, I want to tour the museum. And we went and looked at all this crazy stuff. And the first thing, most of it's World War II stuff, but the first thing you realize is they had little regard for human life back then, and it wasn't just who they were fighting, it was their own.
Who's inside the plane?
There were a couple of flying devices. I wouldn't call them airplanes.
Not airworthy.
Toward the end of the war, Japanese and the Germans got pretty desperate, and they're like, this thing here is, it looks like a, cigar tube with small wings on it, no landing gear, no anything. It's like this was meant to just be dropped from a bomber, Japanese bomber, and then the rockets fired up, and then you just shot this big scatter shot of missiles in front of it that just blew out. You were trying to take out bombers, American bombers, and there was no landing, and there was no punching out. There's no ejector seat. There's no anything. Once you got into this,
You go down
we
with
know
the
where
plane.
we know where you're going.
Yeah.
The Germans had one that just fired straight into the air. So basically,
And stayed there?
we didn't. They tried to take out bombers too, but you'd climb into this thing.
Oh, God.
They didn't have the computer back then. Was the human mind,
Right.
So there was no way to control an airplane without a human mind in it, and there's no way to fire the rockets or do any of that without the human doing it. So they needed volunteers,
Right.
but those volunteers were like never coming back. And then they had just full kamikaze ones that were made for ships that were simply, you get in this thing, we fire it up, and you fly into the side of that ship, and the whole plane is a warhead. I mean, the entire device is one TNT, and you just see if you can hit a sweet spot on the ship.
Shit.
And it was just a lot of crazy suicide missions that they were coming up. It's also...
Meanwhile, the Rod Stewart cover band is playing Forever Young.
Yes, that's right. It was also insane just to see what we were flying in the 1940s versus the jet age and where we're at now and, Top Gun and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this stuff was archaic. Everything was mechanical. There wasn't any computing or electronics at all on the planes. They were huge, rickety. I mean, you just when you see them in flight, they look sort of majestic. Yeah. When you get up on them, they just look like one big tetanus shot, one just big tin tube, and you climb into it, and burlap straps and stuff. Like it was really hairy. Like what we were asking those guys to do in those planes. I mean, these guys were on farms 2 years earlier. Now they're on a carrier, and they're being launched in one of these giant tubs to go bomb. It's insane.
Footnote to that, I often think about how loud those must have been because we're all used to commercial air travel. It's just these must have been rickety and vibrating and just deafening.
Oh my God. You can find, I don't know.
The pilot is either adjacent to or just behind, or I don't know where the wing, obviously a little behind it, but like you're right there by the propellers, what I meant to say. You're right there by the goddamn two propellers.
Oh, when you look at a plane, look up a plane called the Jug from World War II. The front of it was radial. Everything was wide, spread out, not the Tom Cruise sort of sleek Mustang.
Needle nose.
That's in line. Yeah, that showed up later. These were just these massive. I don't know how they worked. I don't know how they got back to the ship. There was no computing going on. So it was crazy.
The question I always have when we talk about like stuff, archaic, primitive stuff from before, obviously factor in the fact that they know they're not coming back with these. But if you're there, do you think like, this is pretty futuristic? Or are you like, this is shit?
Well, it's cutting edge.
That's what I'm saying.
At the time.
Does it look cutting edge to them? Or are they like, look, we know we're not there yet?
Well, remember the Wright brothers were 30 years earlier. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So now...
then it's cutting edge.
This is a huge... You can see how small the pilot
Snoopy
is in
as
this
the Red
plane.
Baron in there?
Yes, they were... so in their world, people were flying... In World War I, people are flying with canvas-covered wings. And...
Sounds like a Dolly Parton song.
And triplanes, like three stacked on top of each other. Biplanes with canvas coverings on all the whole plane. So now you're flying at 400 miles an hour and you're firing a machine gun at some other plane. And you're doing a barrel roll and stuff. It's such a quantum leap from World War I, which is like 1918, to 1941, 1942, that they had to be thinking this is the craziest technology ever. Yeah. But then you also realize they didn't have any computers to design everything. So everything was just its own bespoke thing. And every plane looked weird and different. They had a Japanese Zero in there. They had a German Messerschmitt that sunk to the bottom of a lake and they fished it all out. Like it was a crazy, wide open era of just whatever you think works, try it. We'll get someone in that thing.
Wow.
They're probably not coming back.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. So then I got the tour and I felt satiated.
Back to Rod.
And Rod kept going, and then Rod wrapped it, and then Bowie. Although the Bowie band didn't look like Bowie.
Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, he just was fuck it. But you
got to maintain the illusion.
That's the whole point.
And also, you know what you realize? Like, so you're sitting in this airplane hangar. There's 150 people scattered around eating, drinking on folding tables. You're up on kind of like a makeshift stage in the back, and you're playing a Bowie song. And it sounds good. Like it sounds like Bowie. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the guy's playing the bass. Looks like he's in his late 60s and he's got a little too much Grecian formula. And the backup singer chick's got a couple extra pounds on her and stuff. And you think, these guys are they're getting $150 a piece and going home and going back to their apartment tonight. And then you think the difference between the multi-cajillionaire sort of rock star and the people that can just competently play and sounds good. And I don't even know that there would be a huge difference between Rod and Bowie. Well, Bowie now, but I just mean like if you were just outside of the hangar having a drink with me, I don't know if you'd hear a big difference
Bowie in there?
between the fake Rod Stewart and the real and the musicianship of everyone who's playing all the hits and stuff. Those guys get no pussy, no money, and no nothing versus the hill on the house on the hill with the Lamborghini and all the swooning fans.
Who thought of it first?
Yeah, pays to write the songs.
Yeah, it does. It totally pays to write the songs, but even just perform them. Like the guy's playing the bass in Bowie's band and write them, but he was
just
there.
as good as the bass player in this touring band.
There's so many people who can do it competently and yet
Big chasm.
Big chasm.
I'm going to a concert that I think you'll respect or at least have thoughts about on Wednesday night, and I cannot wait. Orpheum Theater, Wednesday night, downtown LA, Tori Amos.
Tori Amos.
So excited.
It'll be a quiet show.
And how dare you?
I said that's the last time I was at the Greek.
Oh, right.
Was it for Tori Amos?
So fucking excited. And you'll be thrilled to know that in late September, my friend and I already have tickets to ABBA the concert with the ABBA tribute band.
Look, I'm sure they're as good or better than ABBA because that's all they
That's
do.
right. Very excited.
Yeah.
They probably know the songs better than the band.
Yeah. Well, they have the hologram show in London now, but I'd rather see a tribute band than the hologram show.
There's something sad. Emmy, you have to look it up, but the ABBA story, there's something sad about one of the ladies in ABBA. No. One of the ladies in ABBA got divorced from Bjorn or whoever she was married to. Benny or Bjorn. And then maybe packed on a couple pounds, fell on some harder times maybe, and ended up just marrying a fan, like a huge ABBA fan.
Really?
Who turned out to be a pretty big fan at the beginning, but maybe the bloom was off the rose at a certain point.
He was in love with the image, the classic.
So not only did she marry just a fan, but the fan was not that into her anymore. As a fan.
His taste evolved.
You can look for it.
Ace of base.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but something happened that she ended up just getting a little older, and ABBA fell out of favor for a while. So what happens is they're the biggest band in the world, and then at some point they become kind of like a punchline or something because everyone wants the cool, young, fresh stuff, and then at some point they come back in vogue. But during the downtime,
the lean years, but not for her.
Be a little vulnerable.
Wow.
And I don't know all the official particulars.
And they were both very attractive women.
Absolutely.
Foxy.
Yeah, I saw Tori Amos, who I enjoy, but I probably wouldn't have went to the Greek to see Tori Amos with my gay assistant.
Who would you have taken?
Well, what happened was we were filming the Adam Carolla project, and we cast a flamboyantly gay man to be my assistant, who actually was my assistant, but he was funnier on camera. Yeah. And we'd have these arguments, and he was very delightful and outspoken. I wish I had a refrigerator box. And we thought, it's going to be funny. We're going to do a whole date night out with my gay assistant. We're going to go see Tori Amos, but of course, we would film at the job site, and then there'd be film us, shooting pool, having beers afterward. They just film me at home. They just film everything all the time. And so there's going to be more content for the show. And at the very last second, they were like, we don't have the crew. We're not going to do it. And I was like, whew, bullet dodge. I'm not going. And then I looked into his eyes.
Oh,
he was
no.
like, I thought we were going to see Tori Amos. And I was like, it was kind of for the, we were not. And so I ended up going to Tori Amos.
Wow, what a guy.
Agneta Feldskog.
Okay.
Is who, Emmy?
That's your assistant?
That's who you're looking for from ABBA. So I'm reading here that after they got married in 1971, in 1979 they divorced. It greatly affected her, and she needed therapy afterwards. Her second marriage in 1990 was to Thomas Sonnenfeld.
Who's Agneta Faltskog?
I have her from ABBA.
She was one of the A's in ABBA, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, ABBA's her initials.
Okay,
Benny
yeah,
and
you're right.
Bjorn.
You're right. All right. So is she the blonde or the brunette? Well, maybe
The
you don't
blonde.
know. Okay, the blonde. So then the blonde fell out of their marriage, ended with the other ABBA guy, and then she fell into a depression, and then she remarried when?
1990.
19. So.
And who is the guy?
In 1990,
Bjorn Ulvaeus.
you know, at this point, we were celebrating Guns N' Roses and Nirvana
Yeah.
Really good
at this point, and ABBA couldn't have been further away from that, and there was no cool kids that were into ABBA anymore. We were all into Guns N' Roses and Nirvana, and we're going to have nothing to do with ABBA. So
Right.
they bottomed out or topped out. Gina's going to ask her
Sure.
friend. And so then she married. Now, who'd she marry?
So Thomas Sonnenfeld was a surgeon and a fan. The ceremony was held privately and became public knowledge when they divorced 3 years later.
And I don't know if he was abusive or he was something. He was a fan. How do you burn out that fast on a band that big when you're a fan?
You've been hanging
Yeah.
on until 1990, for God's sake.
I don't get it.
Any other official particulars there?
Nothing yet.
And there were two couples in ABBA. So Agnetha was with Bjorn and Benny was with Annie. So it was the two twosomes.
Right.
Interesting. Very Fleetwood Mac.
And then they got divorced, and then she married this guy. And
Oy.
he was a super fan, and he must have been a super fan for 20 years.
And a
then-
surgeon.
Yeah.
And a surgeon, and then 3 years in.
Flamed out.
It's off. But I remember, I don't know, it was one of those behind the music things or something. I don't know if he was abusive or what the hell happened.
She didn't choke on a ham sandwich, did
But
she?
they're all around ABBA, right?
Are they all still with us?
Couldn't tell you, man.
Well, I know they're not. I know they refuse to do a show together. So whoever's still alive, they are not
They're embittered?
friendly. That's why there's the hologram show and not the actual show.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll see if any of them are alive. Let me hit a spot here. In LifeLock, higher property values have increased. Home title fraud. The fraudsters, they file a title transfer to a bogus ID, then sells, refinances, or takes a loan against the victim's property. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft can affect our lives. Your personal info gets exposed so often. It's so easy for cyber criminals to steal your identity. Protecting your identity is easy with LifeLock by Norton. LifeLock detects and alerts you to potential identity threats you may not spot on your own, like loans taken out in your name. So if you become a victim of identity theft, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. It's LifeLock, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but you can keep what's yours with LifeLock by Norton. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year with promo code ADAM. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com. Use promo code ADAM for 25% off.
Well,
Yeah, they're all alive.
Yeah, first off, Agneta is 72 years old, which is young as shit considering, I mean,
They were already superstars.
ABBA, they were huge 50
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, she
Think
must have
about
been
that.
a kid. And then Annie went another direction. She married a prince from
Smart
Sweden.
move.
Yeah, that's a better move.
That's a better. She's 76. I mean, look, in a world, unless you work for the LA Unified School District, 72, you know, in a world of Who's and Rolling Stones and these guys out there making and being a Ringo Starr,
Yep.
Paul McCartney. Like
There's an audience built in, man.
There's plenty of youth at 72 to go out and perform. And I don't know how much ABBA could make on a world tour, but I mean a world tour. I mean, buku.
Well, they really have Broadway to thank because when the show Mamma Mia came to Broadway
that
and it was
was
a
good.
huge hit at the Winter
A
Garden.
lot of bottoms in that crowd.
Oh my God. And then the movie with Meryl Streep. I mean, that was a huge pop revival for them. Like that's like people's kids knowing who ABBA was.
All right. We're waiting for John and Brittany Force, but I have to go to the doctor and get my stitches out of my hand today. So I'm on a little bit of a time crunch
day.
here.
Yeah.
Big day. So we will take a quick break, and we'll come back, and John and Brittany will join us as soon as they do.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace might have a new leader in the clubhouse for retarded freeway signs. Be a leader, not a speeder. What? Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
How could you be a leader without speeding?
Tell
Yeah,
that to John Force.
They go hand in hand.
John Force. So what I wanted to tell you guys, just to give you some insight on what that quarter mile was like with in one of those funny cars. So I told Amy to tell me that when you grew up, there was a couple famous cars. There's the Magnum PI Ferrari. There was the Miami Vice.
Okay.
Miami Vice had two Ferraris. They had a Daytona and then they had a Testarossa. But it was like, the supercars were the Lamborghini Countach and the Ferraris and all that kind of stuff. Those cars would go 0 to 60 miles an hour. You can tell me, do you have that, Emmy? Emmy's got to go find it.
And I think our guests are
Ben
here.
will tell
Yeah,
us.
we do.
What do you got? 0 to 60 in a Magnum car.
That would be 6.2 seconds.
And 0 to 60 in the Daytona. That was the first Miami Vice car.
5.4,
Damn.
And then the Testarossa, the second one.
5.8.
All right, so we're in the fives here. And that's in order to go from a standing start to 60 miles an hour. So you got, presumably, Don Johnson got in that Testarossa. You got in the passenger seat. He threw some revs. The signal changed. He dropped the clutch, take off, tack it up to 7,800 RPM in first, and then power shift into second. And it'd be topping out at, 7,000 RPM in second gear, whatever it would, and you'd be going 60 miles an hour in 5.5 seconds, right? John Force and Brittany Force in 3.8 seconds, this is his fastest elapsed time, which is quite a bit less in the car world than 5.5, is going 337 miles an hour.
Jesus.
Flying an airplane.
330 in their quarter mile. They're doing over 300 miles an hour
Wow.
in a quarter mile from a standing start, sitting, just stationary, over 300 miles an hour. Now, if you did that in a car and the car was going over 140, 150, you'd be screaming at the top of your lungs. 337 miles an hour.
You need to be Toonses going off a cliff.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
reaching terminal velocity.
Yes, that is how fast those cars go. And they're so fast that the actual quarter mile, I think, got lowered to 1,000 feet because they were just getting so fast. At the end, how do you slow down?
Right.
Parachute, right?
Yeah, it's a very confined area. How do you get it back down at the end of that quarter mile? But
Before they come in for the rest of us, can you just tell us the difference between like a drag car and like a funny car? Because most of us don't know what a funny car is.
the drag car looks like a rail. They call them rails. Dragsters, long and thin. And a funny car actually has like a weird body on it and is shorter, little wider, little shorter, and might resemble something that used to be a car. But the dragsters don't look like anything you've ever seen.
Got
That's
it.
just long and skinny, wheeling, down.
We've
to
all
little-
seen those.
little sort of spoked bike tires in the front, back
Right.
in the day, long and whatever. The funny cars, shorter wheelbase, have a body on them, and some go and some blow, Gina.
Oh, that's what I've heard.
Oh, buddy, I've seen Parenthood with the Keanu Reeves.
Yes, when the blower blows on those engines, the whole body just fucking flies off, and it's a crazy. It is a crazy, super intense sport, and I have no idea how one even gets into it. It's got to be some somebody's got to be doing it in your family. I mean, we know Brittany Force's story, but I don't know.
Gary.
I don't know. That's right.
That's parenthood.
That's right.
That's parenthood, and
Diane
that's,
Weiss.
Yeah, but we'll.
Have you ever sat in one?
Yes, I went to the Winter Nationals in Pomona. I sat in a funny car, and it scared the shit out of me. It's very confining. You sit in the middle. It's
Now you know what Sunny feels like.
Yes, one big cage, and it is crazy. So it looks like John and Brittany Force are here, so we'll walk them in, and we can talk about what's going on in their crazy world. And evidently, funny cars and drag racing and all, it's still going strong. I mean, it's a very California thing. It started out here, back to World War II. Oh, Dawson or Emmy or Ben or whoever. Something I forgot to say is those P-51 Mustangs that had the belly tanks on them that they dropped for extra fuel to escort the bombers. People took those belly tanks and made them into dragsters. You can see a belly tank Salt Flats race car.
Use the whole part of the Buffalo.
Yeah, so everything was built in Southern California. A lot of the guys came home from World War II. We had all the manufacturing out here, and a lot of these guys were pilots and mechanics, and we were overseas, and they were doing all that shit, and they came back here, and they're like, I got the need for speed. And so SoCal started all of the racing, the quarter mile and stuff, and then it got kind of organized. That's a belly tank car.
No
they're
kidding.
ones that are even more belly tanker than that Ben can find. You can see them. The one up top, the one it's just a belly tank from a P-51 Mustang.
Doesn't seem super safe.
Nothing was safe back then.
Or even kind of safe.
They all started here. Emmy's struggling to get the mics hooked up for John and Brittany, and you guys can shout out if you hear anything incorrect.
Yeah,
here.
that needs to be corrected.
But SoCal was where most of it started, and then it kind of guys wanted to challenge each other and build up the cars, and before you know it, it got organized and it turned into a thing, and then it went sort of national, and at some point John Force was born, and he is here with his daughter. He's sidling up to the microphone right now, and Brittany Force, who, as I said, is married to Graham Rahal, who are not...
Sister.
Oh, your sister's married to...
sister's married, yes.
Damn it. Screwed that up. Sorry.
That's a great example of jumping in and correcting something.
Yes, that's why you have a microphone. I thought you...
Am I on now?
Yeah, go ahead and
Yes.
put your cans on there.
All right, so we finally got Brittany and John Force and your sister. And yes, we'll pull the mic down for Mr. Force there as well. You can just slide it down, Emmy, or John will figure it out. He's probably done a fair bit of wrenching in his day. All right, so John and Brittany, not married to Graham Rahal Force, has joined us. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So, John, where did it all begin for you?
Right here in L.A. But wait, I'm freaking out here.
You are.
Okay, yeah.
Well, don't hit that mic.
Adam, okay. How do you pronounce your last name? Carolla?
That's right, like the car with all the racing history and a quarter mile.
Yeah, but do you know who this guy is?
Yes.
I mean, I watch shows, but I don't register with names. I'm terrible. Should tell you, I don't even know her name half the time.
I thought she was married to Graham Rahal 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but I've seen you on Fox. You're a funny shit.
Well, thank you,
You're
John.
funny. Can I cuss?
Go ahead.
Encourage it.
Yes.
No, you're
They
funny.
always ask after.
And I even said, driving over to Sarah, they said, yeah, that you replaced Stern. And
I did for a while,
I
yeah.
said, nobody replaces Stern.
Well, that's true.
Because I'm
actually.
thinking I got some guy in a podcast. I'm freaking out. I love this guy. And I ain't making that up.
I
watched
we were trying to fill you in on everything, and you just weren't.
I
really
got my
paying
notes.
attention.
I read my notes, but they didn't tell me who this guy was. You're funny. You make me laugh.
Well, look, we'll see if you feel that way at the end of the interview. Because I have some hard-hitting questions about, no. When did you start, John?
Unless you look just like that other guy. But I'm telling you.
What
Sampras?
The
year
poor
did
cursed
you-
fellow.
Where did you start? What are you a SoCal guy?
No, I grew up in a little town called Bell Gardens.
Yeah.
My mom is from Oklahoma. My dad's from Ohio. I always say France. Sounds better. But her grandma and grandpa, they passed now. But I should be passed by now. and after this show, he probably will end it for me. But what'd you ask?
He's starstruck right now.
I look at well. Then maybe Brittany, you jump in. You start. I'm curious where you started out here.
Hold on, Adam. What's Tucker really like?
Tucker. Oh, he has a joie de vivre that can only be experienced when he's in the flesh. So, Brittany, sorry. You started because your dad did it. Would you have found your way into it otherwise, do you think?
I feel like I have to give it all up to him. The reason I'm out there, I mean, I grew up in this sport because of him. My sisters and I mean, we grew up at tracks all over, the country. And his crew guys, his crew chiefs became our older brothers. So it was always home for us, all these racetracks. And in the summer, we'd pack our bags and go on the road with Dad from race after race after race. And I fell in love with the sport as a kid. And then fell in love with it now in the driver's seat. If you would have asked me 20 years ago, 15 years ago, if I'd be driving a top fuel car, I would have told you, hell no. I sit at the 1,000 foot. That's my favorite spot to watch from. And when those things fly past you at 330 miles per hour, I'm like, those drivers are nuts. Who would get in one of those things? And then I had the opportunity, and I got started in Super Comp. I drove Super Comp and A-Fuel Sportsman Division for 6 years before I got licensed in a top fuel car.
What's the lapse time on a Super Comp car?
They were like 8 seconds, 9 seconds.
Which is 180 miles?
175.
Oh, okay. So
You're way off.
you're flying, but you add another.
Now we go 330.
It's insane. It's the kind of thing where they'll fire them up in the pits, and when they fire them up, first off, you'll be concussed, and your eyes will start watering because there's nitro in the air. But you look at a car that they fire up, and you go, "Who would ever dream of climbing into that thing?" Because it seems like a dragon, like
Right.
it's a beast. Other cars, sports cars, Indy cars, F1 cars, you get it, but it doesn't seem like you're climbing into the mouth of a dragon, is what it is. So, John,
I've been to therapy because of these cars. But wait a minute, are we talking racing here?
Yes.
Or are we talking?
we'll talk
about
everything.
Well, I grew up in a little town, Bell Gardens. Mom was a chef at Denny's. My dad was a truck driver. So we grew up in that world, 5 brothers and sisters, and a car was your escape.
Yes.
Was your way. A motorcycle first, anywhere to get out of that little trailer house. My kids don't even know. On our TV show, we filmed it, and I took them to the trailer house that I grew up in, and they couldn't believe it. Where'd you have a Christmas tree? Where'd you set?
Yeah.
They never knew. They didn't know what a TV tray was. You know what I'm saying? and so along this road, I left high school in '67 in Bell Gardens. I went to East LA Junior College for one day. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Wanted to play football. But what I'm telling you here, I'm really excited. I want to talk to this guy alone. But
we could step
I
out.
was there when Bobby Kennedy, when he left East LA, I was there on the big parade watching it. I wasn't in the parade. And then he went downtown to a restaurant, and what happened.
We went to a hotel.
I won't get into politics unless you want to.
We got shot.
The Ambassador Hotel,
Yeah.
I think.
So, what was your first?
I won't get in politics. My PR lady, Sarah's out there right now. She's about to cry. He's going to get us kicked out.
I'm guessing by what you do, you're not super progressive politically, because all the guys who have to do something for a living, like see if you can shave a couple thousandths of a second in 1,000 foot, those guys are all wired the same. They're wired like airplane pilots. They can't have a lot of theories about gender. Everything, nothing is a
Reimagining.
theory. Everything is about. You got to take one of those funny cars, completely tear down the engine and rebuild it between qualifying and the race. And you can't have a bunch of people telling you about their feelings or how they identify or what their pronouns are when it comes time to break that engine down. So I'm guessing I know what John's
that fair?
thoughts are.
Between you and this good-looking girl, I am in heaven. Thank you, Sarah. No, I was like, where am I going? And now I know the name. Seen it a million times. Heard it. didn't register. She said it. I said, nobody replaced the stern. So I don't know how all that happened, but I know you, buddy, and I watched you on Fox, and I watch other channels. Just didn't see you over there. I don't think.
No.
I don't want to get political here.
You're probably right.
So, your first, how do you get into? Do you get into drag racing at the beginning? Are you driving dragsters or are you doing funny cars?
No, I actually took my girlfriend on a date to Lion's drag strip. I wanted to impress her, and I ran out of gas on the way. So I came home, and I snuck my mom's, and it's a General Motors car because we drive for Chevrolet and Peak and Monster and Flavor Pack. I got to get them plugs in there.
Yeah.
But I come home and switch cars, and then I went to Lions and I got my first trophy. But the thing that I did in life that was like one of my greatest things was I built a surfboard at Bell Gardens High School in woodshop. And when I came home, I heard the chainsaw running.
Oh.
And when I come home with Mom's car in the driveway at 2 a.m. with his trophy, my dad sawed my surfboard in half, broke my heart because my dad was all about work, no play, and you took your mother's car to a drag strip to impress some girl. But and then I
wait a minute. How did you win the trophy in a stock GM car?
Because anybody can be a drag racer. NASCAR, like my son-in-law Ray Hall, you got to grow up in that. Maybe travel worldwide.
Yeah.
In drag racing, I won't hog the time.
Wait, your son-in-law is an Indy racer, not NASCAR. Isn't your son-in-law Indy?
Yeah.
But not
You said
NASCAR.
Did I say NASCAR?
Yeah.
You
I'm
meant
in trouble
Indy.
again. Just had a brand new grandbaby with my daughter, Courtney Harlan.
Courtney's married to Graham Rahal.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mazel tov.
that kid's going to have to be the fastest kid on the planet, right? I mean, it's all the racing DNA.
She's pregnant right now with another one.
I'll raise that
Another
one
one's
like
on
it's
the
my
way.
own.
He's a busy man. But what I'm getting at is, what was I getting at?
You're saying anybody can go down that quarter
can
mile.
be a drag racer. Hook up. I'm a grandpa, so I can say grandma. But hook up your seatbelt, put on a helmet, and you're a drag racer. Can't do that in F1 or NASCAR. And you're a drag. I'm looking at the walls. This is freaking. You know Jay Leno? He's right out here somewhere.
I never heard of the man.
You'd like him.
But I have to see his picture. Yes. So what you're saying is that, look, F1, there's 20 F1 drivers on the planet. The race teams are millions and billions of dollars. You have to be bred from the age of 5 to get a seat. What are the chances you're going to get a seat? It's this crazy thinking you're going to replace Howard Stern. There's statistically, the odds are.
No one replaces Howard Stern.
And same with a lot. Indy
He
can
did.
be that way.
That's right.
But you're saying this is more inclusive. More people can work their way up the ranks.
Yeah, you could start in junior dragsters at age 6 or something.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Both my
Little
grandsons
tiny-
are driving.
My
little
daughter's
tiny
5 and a half.
I was going to say, I got a 6-year-old at home.
Well, I have a question. So based on everything we just talked about, and I heard you guys say in some form or another, who would get into, you always see that thing, it's so scary, who would get into that car? How far away are we? Maybe Brittany has some insight into this. How far away are we from just even not needing drivers for drag racing, just being all automated?
Bite your tongue.
Once you're done with your career, of course.
Brian, you're
Well,
excused.
and then it becomes a different sport. Like, so if you do jet fighter planes, you can go pilotless because you just want to kill whoever you want to kill as efficiently as you can without getting one of your own killed. But this is a sport of whose reaction time
Okay.
and who pilots that car better down the drag strip, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that come down to winning races on Sunday and losing races. Reaction times, one of the big ones. So leave off the starting line. Drivers have lost and won races that way. But also, if you get in trouble, you're out on a sticky track and you blow the tires off the thing, pedaling it. So it doesn't just always go. Sometimes it's ugly to get the win. It's a battle till the end. But and again, we're only talking 1,000-foot drag strip in less than 4 seconds. But a lot can go on in just that short
Some
amount of
go,
time.
some blow.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
what I've always
It
heard.
can be ugly.
And do we know what horsepower these things are making? Because they don't really have. They didn't have
11,000 horsepower.
Oh, really? Because they said back in the day, they'd be like, "There's no dynamometer that can measure this."
Ron
thing.
Capps must have told you that because only a racer would know that. Ron Capps was on your show here.
Yeah, I've talked to Ron Capps.
Yeah,
He's a
really,
champion.
really a good kid. I really love him.
He used to come on Loveline a million
really?
years ago, and that's when I went out and met him at the Winter Nationals in Pomona years ago, and probably sat in Ron's car. But there's 1,100 horsepower.
11,000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow.
I knew that. 11,000. So the aforementioned Ferrari Testarossa is the 380 horsepower. This is 11,000. But it's really, we were talking earlier about weight. A woman smaller in stature, is there an advantage? And I said, not with 10,000 horsepower, but you guys tell me.
I ran 338. Robert Height drives the Auto Club Chevrolet. My son-in-law, he's president of the company. He ran 339. I was all pumped up. I ran 338. He goes, I ran 339 a year ago. But the point is, if I was her weight, I probably would have ran over 340.
Really?
Yeah, because weight is critical moving. Even though you'll see drivers like Hagen that are really big guys, he looks like the Hulk. He's all muscle, but I know he's a lot heavier than me, and his old hot rod's fast. So it's all a matter of the tune-up and a lot of that stuff.
But a weight reduction would help.
Don't hurt.
It also allows you to put the weight where you want to put it. So in our case, we have a canopy on our car. If you look at the top field dragsters, not all of them have canopies. We do it for safety reasons, but that adds 45, 50 pounds on the car. Some drivers don't.
You have
that.
like a ballistic shell around you is what we're talking about?
Yeah, the first time I climbed in one and latched it, I felt like I was in a fighter jet. That's what I said. I'm like, whoa, this is nuts. I don't know anything what that feels like, but I felt like I was in some kind of fighter pilot jet.
So maybe, and I don't know, but I assume that this started with drag boat racing. So drag boats, the only hairier thing you can do than quarter mile on the land is the quarter mile in the lake. Those guys that's fully insane, and they're nuts. And drag boat guys used to just sit there, just sort of sit in an open cockpit. They couldn't really bolt themselves in because they're on a lake. And then what if the thing capsizes and they're bolted in? So drag boat guys used to just sit there, and then when the shit went wrong, they just go sailing out of the boat. They weren't achieving the kind of speeds you guys are achieving, but on the water, they were doing 200 miles an hour, and it was crazy. And at some point, they went to a cockpit, and it with like an ejector system on it or something. I don't know. You guys. So I think that predated the funny car dragster cockpit, where you actually get enclosed into like a cell with like a canopy, meaning like a fighter jet over you.
Yeah,
is that what
you
we're talking
locked
about?
in there. Yeah.
So in case of catastrophic failure, fire, things of that.
Yeah, just safety
nature.
reasons, and then also thinking you're going down this drag strip. If anything blew up and were to come in at you, now you're protected. Whether it's the guy in the lane next to you, if he blows up, things could come back at you.
Right.
So now the driver's protected.
Yeah, they had a lot of problems. They used to have blowers. They still have blowers on top of the engines, and the blowers used to explode. And when the engine blew up, it would send this blower 10 rows deep into the stands, which obviously wasn't great for the spectators to have this huge chunk of metal just go flying in the stands. So they started putting blower bags and blower belts on it. So when the engine blew up, the thing at least couldn't go sailing.
It stays right there.
And they had, I think you would know, John, was it Don Garlitz or let's see, Don Perdome? One of them got their foot cut off with a flywheel.
That was Garlitz.
And so they created a bell housing shield too. So you have to understand that if you're getting thousands of horsepower out of an engine, it's essentially a bomb. Yeah. And if it breaks, everything just goes sailing, and your foot gets cut off, and you get shrapnel in you, and everything like that. So they got innovative with safety. What year, Emmy, did drag boats go to the cockpit thing? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Well, I know back because the guy that built my chassis, Steve Pluger, was one of the guys that did the very first design to protect the driver, to put him in a canopy like we have now on our dragsters. And But you're right. If the boat turned over, a guy could drown if he's locked in. So they ejected him. And I don't know if he was a finished product, but he was part of it. I remember him showing it to me 40 years ago. But what I'm saying is NHRA, they really have done a lot for the safety. When I started racing, I went to Australia in 1974. I was one of the first to get in the 200 mile an hour club at over 200. And now we're running, 340 almost. So the boats have been around. Gartlett's was the one. Don Perdome, another one of my heroes, one of the greats. But at the end of the day, she won the championship driving for Monster Energy a few years back. And we're at Pomona, opening race, and I'm thinking, oh, man, my kid's a champ. We're going to be in this battle. And on the very first run on race day, she rolls it end over end.
Wow.
I mean, it goes out. It got loose. It got sideways.
At what speed?
I had that canopy on it, though.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? How fast were you going?
I was only 100. Let's see, how far out was I? Probably. I don't remember any of the
Couple
accident.
hundred
Probably
feet, yeah.
only going 100 at that point. A little over 100.
Just only.
And hit both walls, turned the thing upside down. It was ugly.
What happened?
It was race day. So what he was saying, we won the championship in 2017. We start our season in Pomona and end our season in Pomona. So we wrapped up the season in Pomona, ended, got that championship, and then when we turned the next season at the same track. So I had the number 1 on my car, and that's where I went and ended up wrecking the thing. It only made 10 runs in that brand new car, finally put the number 1 sticker on it, and we pull it out there and end up wrecking on race day. But it was talking about pedaling it. It was a pedal fest. It didn't even go out past the Christmas tree, blew the tires off the thing.
What are you pedaling the throttle and the clutch?
Yeah, so pulling your foot out of the throttle, letting it calm down until it settles down, and then stepping back on it. Well, I didn't wait. It's race day. You want to win, and I learned from it, obviously, but step back on that throttle pedal when it still wasn't completely straight. It was still settling down, and then it just made a hard left turn into the lane next to me. Luckily, the guy did the same thing behind me and was way behind me, but it was ugly.
And how was there any part of you that said, I'm not getting in a car again? I'm done?
I mean, obviously that thought goes through your head, but for me, I'm the type where I had 2 weeks off to recover from it, and then we went back out in Phoenix.
That's it?
Yeah, we had 2 weeks off, which was lucky for us. And I was only in the hospital for a couple nights. I was fine. My car took the beating. I got lucky. I was just, bruised and sore, and
Well, I think we have a clip
scared the hell out of me.
of the crash if you'd like
Yeah.
to be traumatized.
So this is Pomona.
Oh, so you're in a full dragster here.
Yeah, that's my canopy.
And you run a canopy. You run a canopy in the funny car as well, right?
Oh, my God.
Then it rolls over.
Really scary.
Smokes the
Yeah.
tires, gets
So
sideways,
for me, I'm the type, yes, that thought goes through your head.
back across the track.
Do I really want to do this again? My body freaking hurts. It was awful. I saw the pictures and couldn't believe that I went through that and I can't remember it. But for me, it was, I need to get back in it. Just get back in it as quickly as I can, and then I'll make my decision. So I couldn't make the decision until I got back in it. And it was Phoenix, went out, probably the most terrifying run of my life. Even over the run that came down to a championship. Getting back in that car in Phoenix after that wreck was probably the toughest one of my career. And once I made the run, I'm like, okay, we're good to go.
Wow. And did you see the hardware on her hand? Look at this.
Oh, this is our championship ring.
Look at
Oh,
this.
it's your championship ring. Oh my God, it's Super Bowl-esque with
It
the
is
big number 1 and
Thank you.
diamonds and everything else. John, are you the winningest funny car driver on the planet?
Yes.
Yeah, but I was surrounded by a lot of great people, Austin Coyle, Bernie Federley, my son-in-law now, that Daniel Hood, that married my daughter Ashley, another daughter that had kids, and both her boys, Jacob and Noah, are driving junior dragsters, running 80 miles an hour down a drag strip. My granddaughter Autumn, she turned 17, she's moving up.
Damn.
And hopefully they'll, to Super Comp, that go 180. I hope they'll do it. I love it. Because, I grew up with 5 brothers and sisters, and I remember standing at the racetrack looking over the fence at Pomona, I always say wearing a peak hat. I made that one of my stories. But get a plug in there. Notice how I slid that in there. So got to take care.
Now.
If you got any, got any of your sponsors you want me to plug, I'll be glad to. But that Dunkin' Donuts, that did it for me. Okay. So what I'm saying is that I wanted sons. I wanted sons. I wanted them to play football. I wanted them to play baseball and all the sports. And then, we took our TV show, Driving Force, right?
Well, sure. I mean, there weren't many women in your sport. There weren't any. Well, Shirley Muldowney. Yeah. How old is she? Is she alive?
No, everybody's younger than me. Oh yeah, we see her at all the races.
Did you come up with her?
No, she was a champion
when you came in.
Yeah, when I came in.
Right.
I should go out right after this show. But I love what I do. But I wanted these girls, and now we turn these girls. My daughter, I was seeing a picture on the wall the other day. I actually won the biggest race of the year at Indy. Brittany and Courtney, they won in dragsters, funny cars. And then to listen to her come in here and just take off on an interview, she don't need me around. You know what I'm saying? But I'm excited. That
Shirley Chow Muldowney's 81 years young.
81 years young.
Well,
yeah. Great lady, though.
Who is the daughter or female that races for Patron?
Alexis DeJoria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great kid.
Dad started.
John Paul.
DeJoria. Right.
Yeah.
That guy's story is crazy. That guy's story. That guy, I think he's the guy. He's Paul. Didn't he start the hair stuff? Didn't he start Paul Mitchell stuff?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that's him?
Yeah, so the dude was like living in his car, although everyone lived in their car evidently. Now,
Me too. And I'm about to live in it again.
You lived
after this show.
You lived under your car. He lived in his car. Then he gets out of his car and he starts off John Mitchell hair products, and then it all goes berserk.
Yeah.
And he makes $1 kajillion.
Wow.
And then he starts Patron tequila, and then he sponsors.
No idea.
It's the same guy.
I didn't know that.
The guy's a genius.
The guy's a genius.
Yeah.
And then he starts sponsoring his daughter racing funny cars, I guess, for Patron.
And she can drive a hot rod, boy, I tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, his story is
Wow.
crazy.
Never knew.
Yeah. He invented a liquid you put on your head and then one you put in your head.
That's right.
That's what his field of expertise is. So
You're a funny shit. Hey, that sounded like me.
So what was your, did you ever have any bad accidents, John?
Yeah, I've been on fire from here to Australia.
Oh, boy.
But it's part of the deal. And it was just the cheer of the crowd. NHRA, Drag Racing, Camping World, our series sponsor. You live for that, but you live for the cheer of the crowd. You know what I mean? And the pandemic, we did some racing. In fact, we shut our operation down for most of the year. But during the pandemic, you need the crowds. It's a high. It's like I was in the car. Sarah was driving. I was sleeping in the back seat. I go, I don't have enough energy to go in here. And then all of a sudden I get in here and people bring me alive. And it's what drag racing, the cheer of the fans is what it's all about. So every time I crashed, I crashed in Memphis, end over end. They thought I was dead. And
we have a Dallas crash of you and Kenny Bernstein.
Yeah,
that was 2007.
Almost did kill me.
Oh well, that's you're in the left lane and Kenny Bernstein, legend. These are two legends going at it.
Kenny Bernstein, my hero.
Is the track wet?
No, it's got a lot.
Oh, boy.
It's got a lot of rubber put down on it. I mean, you're going 300 miles an hour when that happened?
We were right in the lights, over 300.
Oh, boy.
That was ugly.
Yeah.
But they got me in a helicopter. I broke my arms. I broke my legs. They told me I was done. I had polio as a kid. Part of the reason football, I wasn't going to the pros. You know what I'm saying? But they put me back together. Mr. Ortmeyer, right there in Yorba Linda, did rehab on me for 6 months.
You know the name of everyone but me. That's what I figured out.
And you're my hero, and I'm just
your
making
hero,
that
but
up.
you've dropped every name on me except for my own.
Unless you look just like that other guy, I'm freaking out, and I'm not kidding.
Were you in the car all the way through to the end? It says John wasn't.
Well, they zoom in
the
on one
car.
part of the car. They thought he was in that, but he wasn't. He was on the other end.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, look, as safe as they want to make it, it's
He
still
had-
330 miles an hour, still 330 miles an hour. And I guess if the shit is going to go down, better to happen when you're doing 100 than 336 or whatever it was. Where's the state of the sport right now? How big is it? It was a big, it was a part of if you're a man of a certain age, it was part of your childhood because Hot Wheels had the snake versus the mongoose, and it was all this hoopla about all the big names, TV Tommy Ivo and the Chi-Town Hustler and all
my
this
heroes,
crazy, the Hawaiian. Everyone had a nickname back then.
This is the easiest interview because he knows everything we do. And we go into interviews with people, God bless them, we love their show, we get to do our plugs, but they're clueless of what we do. And he's naming people that's freaking me out. That's where I came from.
So you get in your mom's car. Your dad saws your surfboard in half with a chainsaw. That was the one you built with your own sweat. And
That's
blood.
the saddest thing I've ever heard.
And but you had the trophy, and you were hooked.
Yeah, loved it ever since. And I drove the truck and trailer myself. I lived on the highways. Raised my kids. My wife Lori raised the kids. Has been through all of this. And watched me go end over end, and I've been real lucky. But I believe God has a plan, and not getting into religion here, but has a plan for me. I just haven't figured out what it is yet. How are you doing? You want to get in our show?
No, I want to hear more about God's plan.
Oh, it's your show. Okay.
All right.
I'm wondering, was your wife of the same trajectory when it came to your kids? Saying, I don't know if we want to do this.
When I took my wife to see me the first time, I had actually a fuel altered just a few years out of high school. That's a short wheelbase car. And I took her down to Lions and it wouldn't start. So I brought it up into City of Commerce on a back street and didn't know what I was doing. And this is a blown fuel car and the throttle's stuck. And I went down the end of the street, went over the curb, hit a railroad track, end over end right into a guy's porch. And the only reason I didn't go to prison was when the cop come by, we were trying to get it loaded back on the trailer, and I kind of embellished. I said, it came off the trailer, towing by.
Oh,
and he
right.
goes, my brother was the LA sheriff. They go, this Walker Force's brother, his crazy little brother. And they cut me loose. I would have gone to jail. But my wife said, I don't understand this at all. And I said, why not? She goes, her dad was a big head at Ford Motor Company. She goes, I thought we were going to the horse races. So she's been in shock ever since.
And I'm sorry, the name is Walker Force.
Walker Force.
The most badass name on the
man.
planet. I thought John and Brittany Force was amazing. Walker Force is the new number
Walker
one.
Force was the brother who was on the force?
No, he was a LA sheriff. I
that's
wanted to be a sheriff. I went up there and my brother told me, when you take that ink blot test, don't see snakes or nothing.
Yeah.
See beautiful women. So I went in there, everything was beautiful. And the guy said, this guy's got a problem. You show him a cobra, and he tells you how beautiful, So I flunked the ink blot test, and that's my story, and I'll shut up. Back to you, Brittany. You're a funny shit. Yep.
All right, you guys, we're going to do a little news. You want to hang out, and we'll talk about
I'll
whatever's
stay here all night.
going on currently. All right, we'll take a quick break. Back with Brittany Force, John Force, Walker Force from the Force right after this.
So on Sunday, a group of Republicans and Democrat senators came together and announced they've come to a tentative agreement on a bill that would match some new minor gun restrictions with major investments in mental health and school security. The whole thing isn't typed out yet, but I can give you the overview. The details are still being translated, but here's what they're reporting. So the legislation reportedly provides increased resources for mental health and school safety, incentivizes states to enact red flag laws, which we've talked about. Those allow law enforcement or family members to petition the court to basically remove firearms from someone's possession who's being dangerous to themselves or others. The legislation also requires expanded criminal and mental health background checks for buyers under the age of 21. It also closes the boyfriend loophole. Now, this is not something I'd have heard of, so I'm going to tell you what it is.
DoorDash did a whole series on that.
Yeah. The loophole apparently is that right now, if you commit a serious crime of domestic abuse against your wife, you can't get a gun. But if you do it against your girlfriend, you can because you're not married. So they're closing that gap. This new legislation will essentially include boyfriends or anyone who shares a child with the person they've harmed. So they're not doing direct like raising the age of buying certain firearms or stuff, but it feels right now like they're doing almost everything else.
Well, I'm sure it'll do nothing, but I'm glad we're doing it anyway, I think would be my
Well
sentiment. And at
But even the red flag laws, you don't think will do anything?
Yeah, I mean, look, at some point, whatever we're talking about, we just have to do some fucking parenting. People are going to have to parent. We're going to have to figure this one out, because as long as we have horrible parents, there's an inner city version of this, there's a sort of rural shoot up the school version of this. As long as we need dads to chainsaw surfboards,
that's right,
in half to send messages to young sons to prevent them. I mean, look at Johnny, never drag raced again.
You're a funny shit.
He got the message loud and clear. He went right into accounting,
That's
and
right.
he's been working for the Sears company ever
You
since.
learned a valuable lesson that day.
That's right. We need dads. We need parenting. That'll be the ultimate, either in the city or, in the rural, whatever the other version of this is. But it's not going to hurt.
Yeah, and we talk about optics and stuff. No, it's just optics. But I think in this case, like after this many years, like reaching across the aisle and saying, okay, let's kind of get into this. It looks really good, and I think it will make people feel better.
It'll make people feel better. What people don't really understand is, like, whenever they go, like, assault rifles, rifles barely kill anybody. Like, it is very short, the
tell
number
that
of
to the
people
deer.
that kill. Yeah, humans, it's all handguns. There's more people killed with fists than rifles there, and we get all caught up on rifles, so a lot of it is sort of symbolic, but I'm not going to argue against it.
No. We'll see what happens.
John, thoughts on gun control? And we're not recording this, so go ahead.
What?
You must have been packing heat when you were traveling alone in your trailer, going from lonely town to lonely town, doing a quarter mile.
My brother Louis is a gun freak, and most of my people are. They love them. I always had a fear of guns. My dad hunted and stuff when we were kids, and deer up on the front of his Jeep, But
Your
I
dad sounds like a badass.
Yeah, I get him.
No, he was.
Your dad with his chainsaw. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Gina.
I'm sorry. And now I have to know your dad's name.
Well, he had a bunch of them.
Like what?
He had aliases.
That's a bootlegger. That's a moonshiner.
I walk into Felipe's downtown, Olvera Street, those places. I went into Felipe's one night with my mom, and there was a woman there, and she goes, "Well, how is Willie?" And my mom goes, I said, "You know my dad?" Well, my dad used to box, and when he came out here, and Felipe's downtown by the railroad stations where everybody went for those great. I'm not pitching them. They don't sponsor me.
The friendship.
But in the middle of it, where was I going? I'm so excited. This is freaking me out.
Your mom found out.
Do we get pictures with you?
Of course.
Yeah,
with all of you?
Yeah, of course.
Your mom found out that your dad had some other names.
No, that just the fact that years ago, my mom went in there with my dad, and her and the girl got into a deal. And years later, I'm in there as a kid, I don't even know how I got on that.
I love it.
His name.
So you're saying the French dip company
Your
doesn't
dad's
sponsor
My dad's name
dragsters?
is Bill, or my middle name is Harold, or Willie. He had a lot of different names.
Willie Force works. Billy Force. I love that.
Harold Force.
That's right. Not as strong.
Not strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're done with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation, or are we? Because Amber doesn't agree with the jury's verdict, but she gets it. She understands how they got to that decision. She spoke with Savannah Guthrie on the Today Show.
Can I say this
Yeah.
quickly? Because I was watching TMZ, and it's like, oh, she says she doesn't have money, but here she is getting off a private plane. I've flown privately a ton. It's never been one of my planes. I've never spent money on it. I don't have enough money to fly privately, but you can catch. There are rich guys who
I've
will.
flown privately. I got no money.
They'll go, you can take if you're going from wherever to wherever, I got a plane that's going from wherever. So this whole thing of like, look at her, she's flying privately. It's like, nah, she's probably she's probably deadheading on somebody else's plane.
Elon may have been
Right.
going
Yeah,
in some
maybe Elon
direction.
sent the plane
So she was on the Today Show saying this.
John, you ever drive one of those jet cars, one of those rocket cars?
No, they scare me too, just like motorcycles and all that stuff. But yeah, hey, you want to hear something? Oh, I'm in the middle of your news.
No,
I'm sorry.
please.
Oh, no.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll never forget when my daughter met Ray Hall and they're going out. I remember I always there used to be a joke like, do you own a jet? You're a big name race car. No, if I wanted a jet, I'd just own another race car is what I do. That's why I have 4 teams, right? I love my race cars. But I remember taxiing out on the runway. I always go, I'm America West, seat 34 in the back. I don't even fly first class. I'm too cheap. But in the middle of it, here comes Ray Hall, and there's my daughter, Courtney. Ray Hall, Bobby Ray Hall, they all got private jets, and they're going by me, and they're waving at
through the window.
out the window, and I'm sitting around thinking, are you shitting me? Look at this. You know.
Yeah, Graham, Ray Hall's, again, legendary.
But I love him.
And everything else. I mean, Ray Hall's, he won the 24 hours of Daytona in a car I have. Ray Hall.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that. He won the Indy 500 too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told everybody I was there, but I was home watching it on TV, but I still saw it.
There's 400,000 people there. No one's going to know if you weren't there.
I stood there one day and I said, yeah, I was with Bobby when he won the Indy 500. He said, not only you were not with me, you were not even there. Threw me under the bus. I'm sorry, honey.
Oh, please. I mean, trust me, I don't care about this either.
Amber Heard.
Yeah, so she's all pissed at Johnny, but not at the jury. Here's a clip. Let's let her explain.
I don't find her believable now.
Yeah, that's the funny
true.
thing. Savannah twice actually said they don't believe you. They think you're lying. And both of her answers were, well, he's so charismatic. Of course they believe him. No, that's not what
As
I
though
said.
she's
They
not
don't
an
believe
actress.
you.
Right.
You ever heard of Amber Heard, John Force?
Well, what really upsets me is Pirates of the Caribbean, like that's all time, with Depp. And if we don't get that back, it's all her fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my grandkids absolutely love it.
Well,
Yeah.
like I've said many times, between Jada Pinkett Smith and Amber Heard, Magic Mike XXL is ruined for me. My favorite movie.
When John finds
Oh,
out.
he's going to be bemused.
Crestfallen.
That's right.
And bemused. All the drag racing terms. But what happens?
Let's talk about NASA. They are putting together a team of scientists specifically to study UFOs. We're done ignoring this. This is now it matters.
I see it all the time on TV now.
Yeah, this is a big step for the space agency. They don't take this commitment lightly. They realize that their reputation might be at risk, considering, some people think it's wacky, but it's not. We have all this footage now and nobody explains it. Clearly, there have been some observations of mysterious objects in the sky, looking into them. They're looking into them now.
And
we're not going to pretend like it's not happening anymore.
Believing in aliens is sort of like the new gay. Like, you couldn't come out of the closet in the 50s, the 60s. Your career would be over.
Right.
And then you couldn't say you believed in aliens or UFOs or any of that stuff
You're a
until
wackadoo.
recently
Get
you
your
were a
tinfoil
nut
hat.
job.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your job.
Yeah.
Now people are starting to come out of the closet in the UFO department, and they have more footage, and we're just not interested, which is so uncanny to me. John, you're old enough to remember nonstop UFO talk all through the 70s, and there were TV shows and UFO cafes, and and what's going on in Area 51, and everyone is obsessed with UFOs, and then finally there's UFOs. And it's like when Lance Bass came out as gay.
No.
Like,
Well, there you go.
we're obsessed with him being gay, and then he went, I'm gay, and we're like, oh, all right, well, we're done.
Just remember one thing with Depp and the lady Heard.
Amber.
Everybody walks somebody else's shoes, and you get what you get. And I don't get into all of that, but I wasn't mean and she was wrong. I only said I loved the show.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
Pirates
get
of the
it.
Caribbean.
but I can remember stories. I've heard stories in racing, people out on the road, trucking across the desert
sure.
out there. Area 52 and all that.
Is it 51 or 52?
51.
Maybe there's a new
sorry.
one.
Yeah.
51. I hit my head 4 or 5 times. You didn't show all the crashes. But what I'm saying is who really knows?
And they're going to find out.
The only thing to me is I'm a God-fearing individual. I may not sound like it, but I am, and I don't want them to screw that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's why
I've been working on the Bible for 73 years, and I'm getting pretty close to the middle. Okay.
That's what we say as a kid, like, all you want is, like, please let there be aliens. Please come visit us. Let's shake things up. Now as an adult, I'm like, I want to die before the alien invasion. I don't want to be any part of that. I don't want to have to tell my grandchildren, like, Grandma, do you remember before the aliens enslaved us? Like, I just want to live my life peacefully.
I have a deeper wish and fantasy, which is now with all the division and insanity, I would like the alien to like come down and go, we've been studying you guys for like 4 years and globally, you know what I mean? And so here's what we've come up with, because we've just been observing from afar. And so here's what we need. Putin, bad. We got to get you out of Ukraine. Nuclear energy, good. We got to build more of those. California needs a desalination plant. We need to fix this and do that. This weird notion of like we want school choice. That'll help the kids. Like
they're going to get into school choice.
Gun control will work. And in these instances, like we just been stepping back, studying, watching stuff. Bananas aren't that good for you. They're going to make you fat. Stop eating all the smoothies. And we just get down and really just start. And then we'd have to listen to them because they were essentially just these referees that were floating around and they were umpires just calling like balls and strikes, and they would settle everything for us, and then we could get back to it.
That I like.
Because now we can't settle anything, because if you go, I'm for this, they go, oh, that's your side is for this, but our side is against that.
The lobby is against it.
How would you ever? It's like calling balls and strikes where the manager from each team has to make an argument on whether it was a ball or strike. We need the third party, the umpire, who's not been corrupted, who's been floating above. He or she or it has been watching us, going, all right, we got a couple of moves, like a secret shopper.
Oh yeah, mystery shopper.
I don't work for this Wendy's in Arleta, and I don't shop here, but I have been in a few times, and I've observed a few things.
Taking some notes.
Yeah, that's good. Very good. I'm glad you compared coming out as alien observant to being gay, because this is something I wanted to get into. We talked about Rebel Wilson, the actress. She lost all this weight and she's looking good, feeling good, and decided to randomly say, I thought I was looking for my Disney prince. Turns out I was looking for my Disney princess. Here's this lovely lady. We're together. Okay, let's move on.
I heard about this.
Yeah, this wasn't her choice to have that. I don't know if you saw this on TMZ already.
She wanted to be outed.
No, she did not. This was actually kind of a threat, quote unquote, small t threat from an Australian tabloid that said, we have, we've seen these pictures of you. We have enough people corroborating the stories. My deadline is Saturday at 1 p.m. The writer emailed her and said, I have enough to publish this, but would you like to comment on it? You want to weigh in? And she didn't. Instead, she took to her own Instagram and introduced everyone to her girlfriend. The writer.
Then the guy wrote back and said, look, I was just kidding. I didn't think you were a lesbian.
Wow, let's whole show the dark.
I do that to everybody. I do that to everybody. But
I sent it to Mel Gibson. Who
all
else
right,
is in
she
Australia?
came out.
So the reporter was going to out her, essentially, happens to be gay himself. He wrote a column apologizing for what seemed to be threatening to out her, vowed they're going to do things differently at their newspaper.
Imagine doing this for a living. Like, this is your right columns outing people, I talk, like last time I talked to attorney Mark Garagos, he gets nuisance. He owns restaurants. So he gets nuisance lawsuits about the guys who come in and say the grab bar in the bathroom was off the wall.
Oh, it's not up to ADA standards.
Yeah, we want to be paid, and it gets letters from their lawyer. And I just go, as an attorney, knowing that you have colleagues that are in the field of it, but this is all they do all day. Does that make you sick? And he's like, I don't fucking get it. Like, it's insane that you would sit around and do this. You take your law degree and steer it this direction. And if you're a journalist or a columnist or something, this is how you ply your trade. This is what you do. You threaten actresses. I don't know how everyone lives with themselves. Yeah. is what I'm asking.
Yeah. I got a question.
Go.
Are we still in the you're not old enough to have grandkids, are you?
No, not yet.
Well, I thought you said you love your grandkids.
Oh, no. I have a 6-year-old at home, a stepson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, well, I was right about that. But what I'm saying is, what was I saying? I'm totally lost here in this interview. I don't know if we're supposed to be in it.
Yes, this is a big conversation.
I ain't going to talk about some of this stuff.
You don't have to. You can sit back. You can say anything you want.
Oh,
or nothing you want.
Yeah, my attorney, right here in L.A., Michael Sherman said to me once, I heard your 1 hour show you did on religion, politics, and something else. And he said, they'll ruin you if you release that. So I never did. It's buried in the archives. Brittany, jump in here. You got any opinions on any of this? Because I'm scared to death to touch it.
Well, let's talk about something else that actually, as two professional drivers, I mean, this makes us sick, but we're not professionals.
I have to intervene because
Please.
I have to get the stitches out of my hand.
Oh, right.
Today I had a little hand surgery, which is, and unfortunately, I'm supposed to be in Pasadena at 3:15.
Good luck to you.
We do this to get this.
You're going to need
out of
a force to drive you there.
Yeah, so I was going to wrap it about 8 or 10 minutes early so I could jump in my car, and also I want to take a picture and get your die-cast model and all that good stuff because I love cars too. So let's
wrap
bring
it up.
home.
I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
You're a funny shit.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
By the way, there's some upcoming NHRA events coming up. Thunder Valley Nationals. That's June 17th. Oh, that's coming up. Bristol, Tennessee, and Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals coming up June 23rd in Norwalk, Ohio. Website, johnforceracing.com. I hope I can come by your big museum out there in Yorba Linda or wherever the hell you
got
are.
one in Yorba Linda and got one in Indy at our shops in Indy, too. So.
Oh, you're building cars down in Indy.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Because that's where all the fabricators and
Yeah.
all the guys are and all the guys building all the huge... I think Ray Hall just built... Is Ray Hall just building like
build a mansion.
100,000 square foot... They all have huge shops. It's all in Indy. None of it's in
by
California.
the way, Bobby Ray Hall, he is, and I love his son, Graham, but I really love Bobby, just so respectful, just a real guy.
Gentleman.
Yes.
This is one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to
Yes.
meet. All right. So, John, Brittany, thanks for coming out and coaching us up. Although evidently I knew more than I thought about the sports you inhabit. Denver, Colorado, me on June 23rd, and then also 24th, 25th, I'll be at the Comedy Works South over there. Just go to AdamCarolla.com and check out where you can get all the tickets. Until next time, Adam Carolla, John Force, and Brittany Force, and Gina Grad, and Bald Bryan saying mahalo.
Can y'all explain something to me? What is punk rock compared to alternative? What was the difference?
How dare you?
Well, I don't know. Like I knew. Like I said, Stone Temple Pilots,
Right. Nirvana, Pearl Jam.
So
Pearl Jam.
let me ask you, Jay-Z, Smokey Robinson, same guy, or is it a different kind of a genre of type of black?
It's a fair
music?
question.